So as you can see, I just cast this line into the river, and looks like I got a baby sunfish here. Tanner Tech. Hello, this is Tanner Tech, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a homemade fishing pole out of a stick, some fishing line, and a hook. Now this fishing pole can catch some pretty good fish. I've already tested one before and caught a lot of bluegills. And this fishing pole is good in survival situations, or when you just don't have enough money to afford a fancy fishing pole. You can buy these things for like $3 and make a pretty good fishing pole for catching fish. So let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is find a stick. So we're going to go into the woods here. We're going to go back here. We're going to look for a long stick. So we want something that's long enough to be a normal fishing pole and something that'll actually work. So let's go. Make sure not to get stuck on thorns. I just did. So we go in here and you can already see the fireflies are starting to come out. You want to find a long stick. So I'm looking at this one. This stick should work pretty good. It's really long, but I can shorten it. So I'll come back. And so after you have found your stick, it's time to take it and you need to strip off all the bark so it's easier to hold and makes it look nicer. So I'm going to take my pocket knife and do that. So the way you do the knife on here and how you carve the stick and get rid of the bark is you want to take the knife and you want to hold one thumb on it. You're going to carve it away from you. And so you carve off all the bark. And now you don't have to carve off all the bark. You just want to carve off the kind of flaky bark that doesn't stay on there very well, so it's kind of smooth. And as you can see, I'm leaving it in kind of this dappled pattern of whitewood and darkwood, but I kind of like that. So after you get most of the bark taken off, you can carve it however you want. So in my case, I'm going to add the Tanner Tech logo in here. So we'll come back when I have the Tanner Tech logo done. So now after you have your logo on your fishing pole, or the Tanner Tech logo as I put on here, now it's time to make the notch where you can tie on the fishing line. So I'm going to do that up here on the end that I'm not going to be holding. Okay, so to cut the notch, you're going to use a different knife. This one is a serrated knife. It looks like a saw. See, you're going to cut it, and you're going to cut around the part where you want to tie your fishing line, and you're going to cut that into a groove. And so you want to get this going around until you have a full-on groove inside your stick. So I'm going to go around once, and I'm going to keep going around again until I have a deep enough groove to tie my string, and it will hold it on pretty well. So we'll come back once the groove has been cut. And so now after you have the little groove cut, it doesn't need to be that deep, but it just needs to go all the way around the fishing line. Now it's time to tie the fishing line around this, and you're almost done. Okay, so now you're going to wrap your fishing line around this little groove inside your fishing pole. You're going to wrap it around, and then you're going to twist the fishing line. And you're going to twist it about 6 or 7 times, and you're going to take the loose end, and you're going to push it through this little hole that was made inside the fishing line. Then after you do that, you can pull it tight. You pull it tight with both hands. And you do that. Then you can pull this tight and kind of slide the little fishing bit down. And then your string's securely tied on there, and that string's not coming off anytime soon. So after that, you've got your knot tied. Okay, so now, after you got your string tied on here, you're going to want to cut it. So when you cut it, you want to cut it so it's slightly longer than the height of your stick. So my string ends up here, and my stick ends right here. Now this helps it so when you're casting it, you can cast whatever your bait is as far as possible. So now it's time to take the hook and tie the hook on. And so after you have your string all done, you're going to want to tie on the hook and get your hook. And so the hook you want to find, first of all, is you want to find a small one. Because since bluegill are quite small fish, you want to get a small hook that'll fit into their mouth. Because that's what this pole is meant for catching. Okay, So now to tying the knot. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the hook and thread the string through it. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to wrap the string around. Now this is just like doing the knot in the previous clip where I tied the fishing string around the actual wooden stick. So you're going to want to wrap this around a few times, maybe like 6 or 7 times. So as you can see, it's kind of twisted around. You're going to want to take the loose end, you're going to want to thread it through the little hole in here. Not the hole of the hook, but the hole you made when twisting it. And so now after you have that little hole, you can pull it tight. And after you have it pulled tight, you should have a good fishing knot. So just pull the whole thing tight, slip it down, and no fish is ever going to break this knot. And so now, after you have your fishing pole all built, you're going to have to know how to fish with it and know what kind of bait you use. So typically with bluegill type fish, the best bait to use is just old bread ends. So what you do is you take a bread end and you rip off a chunk, then you take your hook, and what you do with it is you kind of slide the hook into the bread end and kind of thread it through. So that way the hook is completely covered by the bread. Now after this, you kind of rip off the bread surrounding the hook, and so you're left with just this little tiny chunk of bread covering the hook. And then you cast this in. And so, after you have your hook all baited up, now it's time to cast. So with this kind of pole, how you cast, you pretty much just take the pole in your hand and toss it as hard as you go. And so, now, I'm feeling this little fish on here, so I think I caught one. Now to reel in your fish, you just kind of pull it out of the water, hold it up, and there's your fish. Now this one's a little bluegill. So now to release the fish, you grab the hook with pliers, tilt it upside down and kind of shake it a little bit, and the fish falls right into the water. So, that's pretty much how you make a fishing rod and catch a fish really easily. Thanks for watching Tanner Tech, and please subscribe.